Downs Gaming and Hotel, we work extremely hard to make your experience here convenient, safe, and fun.
I love Batavia Downs Gaming.
We love it!
I love Batavia Downs Gaming.
We don't just like Batavia Downs Gaming, we love Batavia Downs Gaming.
Batavia Downs Gaming, Hotel, and Racetrack. We not only want you to like coming here, we want you to love coming here.
Folks, welcome back to the show where it's not about wrestling with your conscience. It's not about wrestling with your budget. It is wrestling with emotion. And it is the most important week on the calendar. If you are in the wrestling business and if you're Drew McIntyre, you're telling people what's what, and it is hysterical. Welcome to Wrestling with Emotion, brought to you by Batavia Downs, the region's premier entertainment destination. And what entertainment we have in store. We're talking WrestleMania. We're talking Punk, Rollins, Reigns build. And you saw it. The Prophet returns to Wrestling with Emotion. But we got Slick Saturday. We got your friend, my friend, our friend, Jake Micah. And we got the head of the table, Mike Partham. Gents, what a show. Gents, what a week we are off to already for WrestleMania week.
The Prophet is in the building. I can't believe it. I'm shaking, Micah.
He's in the building, but not.
We haven't seen his SUV pull yet.
Not in the ring. The music hasn't hit yet, so we'll see.
Yeah, like Roman Reigns, he has the same schedule as Roman Reigns, and he likes to make a late entrance.
You think just like Prophet would be a guy who shows up to if he's at a segment in the main event, he's showing up like an hour into the show and he'll be there.
Yeah, if Prophet's doing the 9 to 9:15 block, he's rolling into catering at like 7:42, like dapping up a couple people, and then basically heading to like outside a grill.
He's not even dapping up anybody.
He's out of the building before the 10 o'clock spot for sure. Shout out to Prophet. Hey, listen, it is all about the business, and everyone is looking to take care of business this week as it's WrestleMania week. We could talk the build overall, which has been, a little bit lackluster, I guess you could say, not that great. With that said, maybe we get into it on Rollins, Reigns, and where'd the intern put these banners? Under TT. All right, I love it. All right, let's talk the things that we know are likely going to be gold and likely can be excited about. And of course, that's our double main event. You got night one, Roman, Seth, and Punk, and then obviously Cody, Cena. So Partham, tell me which match ultimately is more important in the landscape of the WWE.
Oh, Cody, Cena, because that's going to determine where the next few months of creative is going to go in the main event scene. Because either Cody's going to hold on to the belt and he may have Randy Orton as his next challenger. But, I mean, they've teased that match for a while now. But without Randy Orton turning heel anytime soon, or at least we don't think he's going to just do it at the Raw after WrestleMania or in the next month or so, leading up to Backlash in St. Louis, his hometown. Is that match going to have the heat that it would unless they had a proper build for it? I mean, it's one thing to tease it every once in a while, and it's one thing for Orton to say, hey, if you survive Cena, I'm coming for that belt. And that's certainly a way they could say, okay, Cody wants to give his friend the first shot after Cena, after WrestleMania. But isn't it more interesting to do Cena versus Orton, run that one back one more time after all these years, especially with Cena as a heel and Orton as the babyface? The roles reversed from what they've traditionally been for those two in their rivalry. So I think Cody Cena is really going to point the direction as to where WWE wants to go in the next few months leading up to SummerSlam.
Any other thoughts, boys?
Yeah, I'm interested more in how they do it than what the result is, because I'm with you. I feel like it's Cena and then how they go and how the other characters intertwine with this version of John Cena is where the intrigue will be. But it's really going to be interesting too where Cody goes from this. Maybe Cody takes a big break for all we know. Like if anybody deserves it, it would be him. But yeah, it's the main event of night two. It's the main event of the weekend, and it's the reason we're going to all be here for the weekend, in my opinion. The other main event is it's intriguing for its own reasons, but doesn't come close to Cody Cena. Yeah.
Okay, I agree, but I kind of disagree as well. And here's why. So the Cody and Cena match to me is more clear as to what's going to happen, and either side, either result, if what happens, I feel like that's either a Cody clean win straight up, or the final boss. I mean, I put this in here for a reason. This hashtag, I'll get back to it later. But the final boss is going to be there night 2, and definitely going to influence this match one way or the other. Now, is there going to be other people that have influences in the other direction? I don't know. But personally, to me, the writing is more on the wall night 2. I'm very curious to see what happens night 1, not only in terms of who gets their hand raised, but in terms of logistics. Who helps who? Who does Heyman owe a favor to? Who does he actually side with? Like I was making the argument before, being in the corner doesn't really do shit. So his actions are going to speak a hell of a lot louder than his words. So I'm more intrigued for night 1, but I do think I agree that night 2 is more important in the grand scheme of things.
Now, we'll have our official predictions this coming Saturday and Sunday, but we've seen in the last year or two, especially last year, main event of night 1 sort of bleeds into main event night 2. It was a lot more direct last year. There was a stipulation up for grabs. But with Seth dropping a few hints, a few clues, saying that his winning would be best for business, not unlike Cena saying that very exact phrase in the aftermath of the Royal Rumble. And then when he's asked in an interview, would you ever sell out to The Rock? His basic answer was never say never. Is it possible that there is a third man, and the third man could be Seth?
I just wish it made more sense, and I just wish there was a little bit bigger of a build. This just feels so out of whack. If I had a button right now, I would ask you guys the same question. If you could put Cody and Cena as a main event on SmackDown Friday and move Roman Seth Punk to Sunday night, and then shuffle whatever match you want into Saturday, you could put LA Knight, Jacob Fatu there. You put Gunther, Jey Uso should obviously be in are you kidding me? If Jey Uso's getting that yeet spot, that should obviously be closing the night for sure. So with that said, when it comes to the overall idea of Cena and Rhodes following this triple threat on this Mania weekend,
I'm not feeling it.
I'm not feeling it, boys.
Really?
I'm sorry. And that's why the Bills have been. Cena and Cody have been MIA virtually. And I get
Cena.
2-week bullshit. Spare
Cena,
me the 2-week bullshit. Because if WWE was selling out arenas left and right, they would be saying oh my gosh, this is the grandest build of all. This is the biggest WrestleMania build of all. Instead, they've lost a lot of their kaputska from last year, and now they're kind of struggling a little bit, and that's fair, and it's okay. It happens to every business. It happens to every aspect of everything. But for WWE,
I don't think
and that's why WWE's front and center, by the way, doing all these podcasts talking about AEW is going to be out of business in a day. Nick Khan is saying that every wrestler who's coming to WWE is at a who are they trying to fool? Who are they trying to fool? That is why the WWE. I'll give them one thing: they're smart. They're a lot better at PR than Tony Khan and Co. for sure, because they know what the criticism is going to be. They know what the negatives are going to be coming in. And that's why they get on the offensive. That's why they get on the assault and start getting after these things on some of the biggest platforms and everything like that. It's very transparent. It's very exciting. And speaking of exciting, Cactus Jack merch will be available at WWE World tomorrow. I mean, this is just amazing. What a build. This really could be the biggest, greatest WrestleMania of all time.
Also, Triple H confirming that Travis Scott will be at WrestleMania.
He's a night night 2 for sure. Cody's going to get the receipt. We can bounce back to that one. But
you said it perfectly, man. That's the thing. For me, the intrigue is in the Cody Cena thing because neither of these things have been satisfying for me. I see what Roman and Seth segments have been interesting. Seth Punk segments have been interesting. Roman Punk segments have been interesting. They could have just picked one of them. Instead, they had to make everybody happy with this political triple threat and mash all these stories together that don't. Everybody's telling their own damn story. They're all doing their own fucking thing. They're all freelancing doing it. Seth Rollins.
I know. You know what? This match.
I was I'm fighting for the soul of WWE. No one's talking about that. No one else has mentioned that at all. They're doing
this match doesn't finish the story. It's starting the story.
It only makes sense in Rollins, demented mind where he is just so anti-Roman and anti-Punk that he thinks he has to be the hero of his own story. And I think that's the story. Now,
the
I will
story
just
is
say,
Rollins' turn for sure.
if you think this
thinking
triple
about
threat is a little convoluted, I will agree because there are 3 different triple threats that this could be in parallel universes. If you switched out Punk for Dean Ambrose, of course, in a world where he either came back or AEW doesn't exist, now you have your Shield triple threat that we never got. If you switch out Roman for Drew McIntyre, now you have a more relevant triple threat in the last year where all these guys genuinely hate each other. And we had a little bit of a sort of tease of that at SummerSlam where Rollins was the special guest referee for Drew versus Punk, and Rollins was, making himself not quite an impartial referee. And there's a third one, of course, where if certain people actually behaved themselves and didn't, disrespect certain women, we could have had Roman, Punk, and Brock for the soul of Paul Heyman, and that would have meant a lot more.
Hey, Partham, do not count him not coming out on Sunday.
I'm counting him out.
It's
legal stuff. They have not settled this legal stuff yet.
It seems like no one knows. So like I just don't with the current state of WWE and what they've been saying and spewing and who they've been siding with in certain aspects of life lately, I would not put it past Brock Lesnar.
You're saying he's going to.
I don't even mean to
There's
sound
a mathematical possibility that Brock Lesnar is going to come out at the end of the main event, night 1, and
there's a chance.
Not even at the end of the main event, but there could just be like chaos, like everyone's laid out in the ring, and then all of a sudden, boom. Bum.
I mean, like,
that place would come unglued. First off, and listen, I agree with everything you say, Barthy. It's still a very sticky legal situation. There's obviously, they haven't figured a lot of stuff out. With that said, would you not agree that WrestleMania and this situation is kind of the perfect camouflage if you are going to bring him back? Like middle of the match, he comes out, he looks at Heyman, he lays out like Reigns, lays out like Punk. Like Seth Rollins is laughing, like Brock does his like fake laugh, like lays out like Rollins and then just leaves.
It would be if he wasn't, embroiled in controversy.
He is embroiled in controversy. Sure.
Like obviously 9 times out of 10, it's not gonna happen. But with WWE, all I'm saying is like they I don't think they have the bounds to put it out of the realm of possibility.
Not one person here predicted John Cena was going to turn heel at the end of Elimination Chamber. So, and we have a great panel who is into everything, and we knew this was his last run. Like if it was going to happen in some way, that's just a Slick's point. You really never know in the world of wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
Can I talk a little bit just about the attitudes towards the WrestleMania build in general? Because
yes,
I think we've been spoiled by the last 2 years.
100%.
I think that the Final Boss's involvement and this epic arc of Cody versus Roman has spoiled us to the point where we forget about the WrestleMania builds for the last 10 years previous to that under Vince McMahon, because only 2 things happened in the last 10 or 15 years in WrestleMania builds that actually got people interested to the point where they weren't saying, oh, this is a poor WrestleMania build. This doesn't feel like WrestleMania season. Number 1, when The Rock makes himself involved. He came back at WrestleMania 27 to be the host. He was involved in Cena matches for the next 2 WrestleManias after that. And then he just left to go back to Hollywood again until last year. Number 2 is when you get a situation where the fans are just so contentious about a main event scenario for WrestleMania that they don't want, whether it's Batista versus Randy Orton and everybody wanted Daniel Bryan, or if it's The Rock versus Roman, we're finally getting it, but we're getting it at Cody's expense, and everybody goes #we want Cody. It seems like unless one of those 2 things happens, the WrestleMania builds are always labeled as, lacking or poor, or they're missing a little element of something, or it's not as exciting. And sometimes a bad WrestleMania build is not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you get a lackluster build and it turns into a great set of matches or a great main event, because remember the first Brock Roman main event at WrestleMania 31? That was a pretty lackluster build. And then because of Seth Rollins doing the heist of the century, turned into a pretty exciting ending for that WrestleMania. On the other hand, you have like Triple H and Randy Orton, a very personal feud. Remember when Randy Orton was, kissing Triple H's wife, and then all of a sudden, because of Shawn and Taker, it basically overshadowed their match, which should have been like a no DQ match. And then they had a very lackluster main event of WrestleMania for the championship. But speaking of surprise...
The Prophet, Rob Ryan, makes his return to Wrestling with Emotion.
Wrestling with Emotion. Acknowledge me.
I acknowledge you, my prophet. Thank you for returning, and thank you for
What
gracing
happened to
us
the
with
walk-up video?
with your presence. It just did it. He was walking in
It
the
in the
arena.
intro, if you were paying attention.
It was,
Yeah, you blew it in the
weren't
intro.
looking away? Oh my gosh. Anyways, Prophet, we're talking about the Mania build. Do you think the criticisms deserve? Part of them seems to think this is same old, and that we just got spoiled with an all-you-can-eat buffet last year.
Well, I mean, this guy over here thinks he's the head of the whatever.
Where are you pointing?
Directions this way. This guy thinks he's the head of the table. I mean, this weekend, remember that call out? It's still coming. I'll be the new head of the table. He's gonna have to acknowledge me. But speaking of it, it has been lackluster. We can all admit it. Besides, this Mark over here. He probably thinks CM Punk is gonna like take Heyman and then go call out Cena. But it's been lackluster, but the two big storylines are the two main events. I haven't heard anyone really say it, but I mean, actually, that's a lie. On this show, I haven't heard anyone say it, but outside, I have seen a lot of people say, I think night one will have a factor into night two. I think it's more the fact that, it's obviously you guys talked about it a little bit, but I think Seth does end up with Heyman and somehow is the next man to sell his soul to The Rock.
I literally brought it up at the beginning of this show. Where were you?
I literally said it, dummy. This guy.
Stealing people's takes. Here you are literally stealing my take on this very show.
You didn't mention, obviously Monday night, Seth mentioned the best for business line.
I literally just said that. Here you go.
I don't care what you say. Oh my God. Get him off my screen. Jesus Christ. All right, but as I'm saying, as what you didn't mention is that when Seth was having that monologue, Heyman was licking his lips right behind Roman Reigns, just like, oh yeah, I like what he's saying. You didn't mention that, Partham. Come back on the screen and how about you say something about that? Yeah, here you go.
He was licking his lips.
You didn't mention that one. That's what I thought. That's why I'm the prophet and I'm gonna be ahead of the table after this weekend. But so how it's gonna work is I don't know how it's gonna work, to be honest. And we'll save that for the prediction show. But I do think somehow Seth joins that side with Heyman and somehow plays a factor in the night too. But you'll have to save that for the weekend.
I'm sorry. Have you been keeping the records ever since Dynasty 2024?
So I'm sorry, I didn't ask.
No,
interesting.
Partham's just looking for an out. He knows he's really behind.
Yeah, he's pinned against the wall, doesn't want to do the hard research in the film. It's okay, dude. Like, I'm right on
Not
your
everyone
trail.
wants to put in the time.
I'm right on your trail, and you're scared of the fact that if you put in the hours, it's just going to be me on top like mommy is all the time.
We know
you
this
could put in the hours. No one's stopping you. If you think you're on top.
No, you want to do it so bad.
We're gonna have to figure out a solution. I may have to pay a third party to just go and review them all. It's been a while. With that said, we talked. Do you want to address the Nick Khan comments, Parthy?
Which one?
I mean, he's dead wrong here, but what's the spin zone?
What about he knew CM Punk wasn't a cancer? Yeah, I agree.
That people they always have a spot for a wrestler when they bring him into WWE. They never sign anyone just for the sake of signing them.
Well, you can't count Omos because he's Vince McMahon's boy. He's been put to the side because he's basically.
What about Andrade?
Andrade was on SmackDown. He's getting involved with the Legado.
Yeah, but they were like,
Andrade had more fits than matches on the European tour, bro.
Speed champion right there.
Yeah, former speed champion.
That's true. They did give him the speed title. I yield.
I mean,
he's been seeing more action than Mariah May recently.
She's a fuck. She's not under contract.
No, her contract ends at the end of the year.
Active negotiation.
Yeah, wait.
Oh my God.
How is that even the same thing?
What the fuck, Partham?
That'd be like
that would
have been like Saraya would have been like a better example.
Because Andrade's backstage every week at the show, and Mariah May's not. Like, it's that simple.
Yeah, why is she not? Why aren't they using
the contract's about to be up?
Yeah.
When? Do you know when?
Oh, here we go. You should know. Ask your sources.
We know Andrade just got signed. He just got signed. Like,
yeah, he's been signed for a minute.
All I'm saying is Mariah May is still on the roster and they haven't utilized her. Ever
What
since
about
she lost the
Natalya?
title to Tony Storm, why not?
Kind of just went through.
I mean, do you think that was a great title reign? To be
Kind of
honest,
just lost
No.
like one of the craziest death matches ever. He kind of can't just come back to TV.
yeah, I don't think you can.
Tony Storm was in that same death match, and she's
It's not
been back.
something WWE would know much about.
She
but
won. She can get crushed.
Yeah, she won the match.
Speaking of getting it crushed, see you later, NWO. See you later, Booker T. See you later, Bischoff. See you later, all the great moments. AEW passes Nitro for the longest running primetime on Turner Networks. Now, I do want to mention that Ryan Talbot was unable to join us tonight. He's celebrating this. He's out popping bottles.
He's out.
He's having a great time. He's celebrating AEW's success. So shout out Talbot for doing that. I hope the Talbot family has a great WrestleMania weekend. But yeah, AEW the focus. Obviously, pretty big Dynamite tonight, even though we are stuck in Death Rider purgatory.
That's right.
Yeah.
Hey, but maybe the ops save us. You never know. We might get out of it a little bit.
They're gonna drop the trios titles on even though it's a branded.
This is not a random Dynamite. Like they have treated this like it's
Partham, you're acting like the Owen Hart Foundation Cup.
It sounds like standing room only. Standing room only.
It sounds like
this venue. I've been
in
this building before for a concert. It is one of the coolest concert venues I've ever been in. Like it's new. They just built it in Fenway like 3-4 years ago. It's built to be loud, so I'm excited to hear what the AEW crowd sounds like in there. Honestly.
I mean, and look at this lineup: Will Ospreay to Keshta, Monet, Athena, and Hangman versus a wild card.
Who do you think the wild card's going to be?
Josh Alexander.
That's a great question. I have no idea.
It's going to be Jungle Boy. It's Jack Perry.
I mean, I'd be fine with that. That's moving the story along.
Yeah,
scapegoat right there.
I don't know if he's going to be the scapegoat. He may or may not be. Maybe they rebrand him because he's been away for that long. But
it's been a while. I mean, he left with the Bucks,
whatever
right?
look he's going to have. It's Jack Perry.
Oh shit! The Death Riders are doing the.
But can we talk about the trios titles? Can we talk about the trios titles because we've had this trios titles held up before when they were under the Bang Bang Gang and one of them got hurt and all of a sudden they have to surrender the trios titles and now they just forgot about that.
Well, it's Moxley. He
is it wouldn't this fall under Freebird rule like status?
Well, they didn't invoke it last time, and now they are conveniently. That's the
John Moxley
point.
has more political power than Jay White, bro. So he said
they haven't said anything about to that effect.
I'm just talking about real life. Like we know that. Like we know John Moxley's on top of this company. We know,
but they have to explain that on screen.
Sure,
we'll
you're right.
Okay, but Marty, if they say an offhand comment in 3 seconds tonight, are you going to be like glazingly satisfied, or you're just going to be like, okay?
Just address it at least.
Okay,
and
make sure you can't be throwing a big
Moxley
fit
will
about
just
it.
say, I do what I want. I run
AEW.
AEW. That's it.
That's fair. That's
the
fair.
whole gimmick.
No, the Bucks run AEW. They could make an override if they want. You know what? The Bucks could say, "Hey, we override this." The fact that we ignored the Freebird rule last time for our good friend John Moxley.
They said last week we want to work with you guys. So maybe
so if they address it and they say they made an exception for John Moxley, okay, I will accept that because the Young Bucks actually have the power to do that as EVPs.
Let the show play out.
Could you wait for the TV program?
I was going to say, let's let the show play out before we throw a fit.
Well, they pretty much addressed it on Collision. They showed Moxley taking that extra third belt on Collision, and they didn't address it at that point. So maybe if they address it tonight, okay, good for them.
Yeah, this morning Partham was like, "Oh, they're running Mercedes Moné and Athena now. Oh, way too soon. Can't believe
way too soon. Why aren't they saving it for All In if that's where they're going,
dude? Like,
hold on. If we're talking about a match, that can literally be fought for the well-being of the planet Earth, it's Will Ospreay versus Konosuke Takeshita. This is absolutely. These are two of the top. No, I don't care who you are, how much of a WWE mark you are. These are two top 8 to 10 wrestlers in the world going at it.
And Maniac, that's a great example because these two have wrestled before. But am I thinking of that when I see these two lined up against each other on my TV? Fuck.
I know.
What?
He went crazy.
I think it's
fine to run good matches when you have them available to you because you never know what can happen. People
100%.
get hurt. Things happen.
Parthy's calling them out, but are we not watching what's happening in WWE with Jey Uso and Gunther? They literally
That's
just ran
true.
at Saturday
I
Night
complained
Event.
about that too. I complained that Jey Uso literally lost to Gunther on Saturday night's main event a week before the Royal Rumble.
Partham, this is also a tournament designed for big matches to happen. Like, so it is what it is. You want your big wrestlers in big matches in this tournament for it to
At
matter.
least have the
They want this thing
tournament
to
final
matter.
be. At least have Monet and Athena on opposite
Why don't
sides
you
of the
let it?
bracket.
You gotta let it play
Have
out.
the
though.
final
You
at
can't
Double or
get
Nothing.
You can't preemptively get mad the match is
First it
happening
was
until
Double
you
or
see the
Nothing, now
result
it's
of what
All In.
happened.
This is
Like-
spring breakthrough. This is a
Let the
big
story
night.
play out.
Guys, I have a spoiler for you. Not that obviously we're going to go into Double or Nothing predictions when we get there, and that's weeks away. Mercedes is winning this tournament, and Mercedes is going to All In,
really
and Mercedes
not.
is going to challenge Tony, and you can
Okay.
guess what the end result's going to be.
Dude, you need to just
Yeah,
watch.
They're telling a story.
You need to
They're
just
telling a
watch
story on
Dynamite
TV.
tonight, Partham.
They're telling a story
Holy
on TV with
crap,
Mercedes right now that you're just
See,
not
this is the
paying
problem,
attention
though,
to.
is that
What's
if
the
this is
story?
wrong,
What-
Parthy's just
Okay,
like,
okay.
They
chose to
started
go in
with
their
Billy
direction.
Starks. Now they are moving on to Athena, who has been Billy Starks' mentor for 2 years. They are continuing that story tonight. Then we will see what happens after that. One of these women's going to win after a contentious match. Maybe one of them interferes in the Owen Hart final. Maybe one of them gets involved in that way to continue the feud. Again, let it play out. This is act 2 of the story. She had the match with Billy. We saw how that went. Now they're continuing it. That's the point.
Do we really think that All In is going to be Tony versus either Jamie Hayter or Chris Statlander? Because I mean, I would take that, but do we really think it's going to happen?
Oh, they could definitely put Statlander in that spot.
Tony Storm or Statlander or Jamie Hayter is a worthy AEW
Those are
women's title
pillars.
match.
Yeah, dude. What?
I don't disagree with you. I just don't think it's going to happen.
And Mercedes and
Wow,
Athena is
Parthy, you've
another match
become,
you can run
you've
aside
become a
that.
little gray about AEW.
Don't think you were just like, I'll tell you what, All In's gonna be this, Double or Nothing's gonna be this. What do you mean you don't think? You were just
I'm going to
saying,
play if it comes to fruition. I'm going to play this clip back, and I'm going to.
I'll do the same damn thing.
What happens when they don't face off at All In? Should we play that one? Like, oh my god!
When Mercedes and Athena
That's
are
what you
face
say
to
every
face at
time,
All
and
In,
then when you're wrong, you just say, "Oh, I Meltzer said it. I didn't realize it was
the
Meltzer."
dirt sheet
Oh, this
was
is
wrong.
I come on. I never listened to freaking Meltzer. Come on.
Whoa,
All right,
that's a
who do we-
lie.
Who
Come
do we
on.
got
You
in
did.
Osprey? Who do we
Yeah,
got in
you did.
Osprey Takeshita?
Osprey.
Osprey.
I mean, this is
I got Osprey winning this whole
Takeshita is a
thing.
big spot Kanosuke. Big match
I'm going to
Kanosuke.
He's been on a hot run, but I think it's Osprey.
Big
right,
match Kanosuke. I'll be
we have-
honest, if I could ever hit the button for one squash match all year in 2025, I think it might be the Ops over the Death Riders, though. If they could just kill them, it would like, would that not be cinema at Spring Breakthrough?
With choke outs in the first minute,
Oh,
bro.
that'd be insane.
Immediately.
Hey, give me like a choke out, like a Samoa Joe's rear naked.
So Samoa Joe with the triple muscle buster to all of them at once.
Shibata with like an arm bar and then Hook with the red rum all at the same time.
Speaking of squash matches, the Hurt Syndicate versus the Gates of Agony. I mean, that's basically going to be.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
the
I
Gates.
mean, the Gates
That's
of
more
Agony
MJF
are, the
stuff.
Gates of Agony.
Yeah,
are,
how-
the
that's
Gates
the-
of
that's the
Agony are
question.
people, and they're about to be hurt. What do you
Right.
need to understand about that?
We hurt
How is
people.
MJF going to be involved in this? How is he going to try to help the
Yeah,
Hurt
for
Syndicate again?
I don't know. His whole thing seems to be just like he's an over the top like cheerleader who's like so excited to be like Hurt Syndicate, which is really funny.
MVP did say he needs to prove it. So I
Right.
mean, like, I think he might like pop out from somewhere in Diamond Ring when someone goes to tag in, ref's not looking, something to that effect. But I think it's not a matter of how he'll try; it's a matter of how he will actually help them win this
I
match.
mean, he kind of already did that, and MVP said, rethink your strategy, learn what they actually want. So yeah, I think it has to be something a little bit different than that.
Mhm.
But I don't disagree that he's probably going to try and help
That's
him.
what
in some
there is
form.
a theory that does play into a theory that what they actually want is title gold, right? Like that's what the goal they want. They want titles. They want the tag titles. They probably want a world title. Could he be that wild card tonight? Could he? He said he wasn't last week before he had that conversation with MVP. So it's in theory he could have went right after that conversation with MVP to Tony Khan and been like, Tony, not put me in that match, and bullied his way into it. It's
and
very
they
possible.
did allude to Hangman and MJF happening again some point down the line as well. So
So I'm just throwing it out there because he meant, because I thought about it because he very much went out of his way to mention in the promo, I'm not doing the Owen, whatever. And then MVP tells him, what do they want? And then I think what they would want is championship gold. So that's the easiest path to get some championship gold, is to win the Owen.
Well, would they be satisfied with somebody in the group holding championship gold, or would Bobby Lashley rather be the champion in that group, the world champion?
Well, if they have tag champions and the world champion, it's hard to get much better than that.
That business is booming if you got the world
business
champion.
Is definitely booming if they get all those titles.
All right, so we're looking at the night 1, night 2 lineup for
I
WrestleMania.
looped back to this fake storyline I created where we're going to restructure WrestleMania, and I came up with it. You move Cody Rhodes, John Cena to the main event of SmackDown. The reason this is better is because it kicks off WrestleMania weekend, and this is also an aspect you guys are missing. If like heel John Cena was to win this with Travis Scott and The Rock, they could be walking around backstage on night 1 and night 2 like healing it up, like doing segments and shit. Like this would be hysterical. Then if Cody wins, he can talk to people about like who's going to be next based on like performances at Mania, etc. There's a little thing there. Now, okay, so now that you've gotten rid of Cody Rhodes, John Cena, you got to fill the main event on night 2. So you got to move Gunther, Jey Uso to night 2. Problem solved. Tell me that like tell me that is really like tell me that if they said that was happening tomorrow, that you're like negatively affected in any way.
I mean,
I want Cody and Cena at the main event of WrestleMania. I'm sorry, bro.
Is Cody coming out in the black shirt? Well, I know we'll probably talk about this on the Sunday. The black shirt. I think the black shirt's minus 125. It's like the favorite for the color of his T-shirt.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. If anything, he'll have
Did
an
you
even
see
more
how big that
extravagant rope
stage
for
is
himself.
looking?
I saw
Have you guys seen pictures of the stage?
a drawing of it.
I saw a set picture today of where it looks, and it's just like you can't really tell what it looks like yet, but just the scale compared to the tiny little people that were working on it, they're doing something crazy with it. So
I mean, they do have a lot of room to work with.
Exactly, big stadium, open space.
A lot of room. With that said, no shade, and we know, like again, it's not last year's WrestleMania. Ticket prices have basically cut in half, 50%. Final topic on the show. Kind of weird. Kind of interesting. Vegas, I guess. I don't know. I'm not saying it's bad. I want WrestleMania to have the best crowd possible.
Yes.
Seems like this year might miss the mark because of like the pricing out the gate and everything like that.
I'm gonna be really interested.
We saw a similar thing happen in Buffalo. No joke. 6 weeks ago, we were looking at tickets all the way up until like a couple days before and a couple days before they went down basically 40 to 50%.
Do you think this prices out like hardcore fans?
100%. You got who? Has anybody in here watched the WrestleMania 9 doc yet?
No, not yet.
Yeah, I have.
Oh, it was literally a look into a Bizarro universe. They had a full segment where the guy was talking about they made it a priority that somebody should be able to like get into like all the biggest shows for $25. Like, and I get that $25 back then is like $100 to $150 now. I get that, but like WrestleMania, the cheapest ticket that you could have bought 2 months ago was like $1,000.
Yeah, we were looking at even tickets last year. Like,
last year was
up until like January or February, and it was still like wild.
And a couple years, it's gotten to a crazy point. You should want people to I don't know. It's going to come back to bite them at some point. It always does when you get to this level. But they wanted to try to cash in. If there was ever a time to do it, it was this Vegas, Mania. So.
I mean, can you blame them after every one of these in-between shows? They keep setting gate record after gate record. And they brag about it at the end.
Just wait until they go to the air conditioner in New Jersey.
The gate record is literally the worst thing that you could ever set.
Gate record is a measure of inflation.
If you want to set a gate record, go throw a Saudi Super Show. Go to Yokozuna versus Hulk Hogan. Like you'll set a gate record that'll never be broken. Like gate records should really be fucking shunned. Honestly. Dead ass. It's like saying our business did really fucking good.
I don't disagree. I'm saying that's the reason why
we threw an
they
event
feel that they can
that was a
set
spectacle.
ticket
It's not
prices
saying
so
that we
high.
threw an event that was for everyone. It's not saying we threw an event that everyone should be a part of, that you had to be there. It's just saying we made a fucking lot of money.
Yeah, it's kind of weird when fans cheer that sort of announcement.
Well, because they don't know any
at some of
better.
these
They think
shows.
we're part of his. Yes, we deserve it. Like, you know, like they really don't know better. It's like when The Rock came out, we set a gate record. They're going nuts for like the biggest crackheads or whatever. Like you know, and I've been part of a WWE crowd. I've been worked or whatever. But the one thing, like that, like by media members and by like members of the actual community, bragging about a gate total in that fashion to like substitute for like the attendance number or something like that should really be shunned and should really be like mocked, honestly, because that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Agreed.
With that said, any final thoughts?
Here's
Oh
the
wait,
thing.
we got
overall
a perfect
about WrestleMania. Overall about WrestleMania weekend. Once we get to the point that it comes around, the show starts, I'm ready and I'm excited. These matches, I think it's set up to be it's set up, the build, whatever, it's set up that we could have some really special WrestleMania matches here, I think. So,
dude, that Priest McIntyre street fight is gonna feed families. Gonna literally feed families.
Mysterio and El Grande Americano could steal the night too.
Classic.
I think
I'm amazed. I'm just happy, bro. Rey Mysterio in a WrestleMania match in 2025 is not something I would have been expecting. So I'm very
against El Grande Americano, especially
against another legend.
Who even is this guy?
Game.
Yeah, if you want to talk like a positive, night one WrestleMania was probably better than any card the entire like 2016, 2017 like era. Seriously.
Okay,
like just night one.
Since we might find out before Saturday's prediction show, any final thoughts on Randy Orton's possible opponent for WrestleMania?
I still got to be Aldis at this point, right?
He's
either got to be Aldis or he brings Aldis all the way to the ring and he gets fucking gonged.
But what if Saturday night? I think that's when Randy's match is supposed to be, right? Or is it Sunday?
It's not
Sunday.
showing on.
There's only 6 matches on Sunday.
All right, so Sunday
on the wiki right now.
What if it's an open challenge?
What if? Oh, Rob, are you gonna say what I think?
It's a special day, Rusev Day.
Oh, that's not what I was gonna say.
I mean, yes, him
great.
or Aleister Black.
Aleister.
I'm sure he's going to be known as now when he gets back is one of two possibilities. But would you really have Rusev lose to Randy Orton? As good as having a match with Randy Orton at WrestleMania is, would you really have him lose his first match back?
My argument would be that Rusev has already proven he could take ridiculously poorly timed losses at WrestleMania and come out on the other side, no worse for the wear.
It would be I think it's just too much. It's terrible justification. Can you imagine Randy Orton open challenge on night one and that damn glass shatters?
Yes, that's what we need.
I forgot, by the way, I was looking at my flashbacks. The storyline that the Dirt Sheets came out with from last year was that it was financials. That was the only reason we didn't hear the glass break. How is that possible?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to.
I thought it was like he was.
I was looking through my screenshots and I didn't even remember it until I saw. But literally, there were multiple outlets last year saying that they couldn't come to term on financials before, and that's why they just went with the Undertaker because they had him. He's basically on retainer.
Well, you know why?
That's crazy.
I think the fact that they had to change so many things so late played into that too. They probably didn't have much negotiation time as well. But it is still kind of odd that they can't find a number that satisfies Steve Austin for
could Stone Cold
or two.
Because this is what we'll put just 5 more minutes on this because we got a lot of talking to do this weekend. But could Stone Cold, like Travis Scott's confirmed for WrestleMania, like The Rock will obviously likely be there. Like you got to think they're getting involved in the hijinks, like craziness of the Cena match. Could Stone Cold be the bullet that like takes them both out? Like, and then it comes down to just Cody Cena, like at the end for whatever happens.
Of course. I mean, just the fact that they're inducting his match is basically telegraphing that he's going to be there. They're in his backyard in Nevada, which is probably another reason because he's said all along that he doesn't like leaving Nevada. He never wants to leave Nevada. That's why they really had to try to put down some, Scrooge McDuck type money to get him out of there, to get him out to Philadelphia. But now he's a 5-hour drive away. We know he's confirmed he's going to be there for at least the Hall of Fame ceremony. So yeah, it's pretty. He was saying in an interview, I think, that he wanted to help out Cody, and maybe he'll help him out this year.
I think we could be in for a couple surprises in each main event. I mean, the fact that there isn't the build that we necessarily thought we could get makes me think they might have a lot in store for these big time matchups that we're already expecting so much out of. So definitely interesting.
The Rock element, the Rock, the Rock, the emoji, the everything about
the hashtag says it all.
We know he's going to be there. He could be. You're exactly right. So like, it could be a thing where the Rock is just, maybe he's just all over. Like if he's like, I'm in town, I'm here, guys, I'm all over the show. He shows up for Jey Uso, Gunther. He shows up there, Seth Roman. He's like,
Jey, before you have this world title match, will you sell your soul to me? Will you be my champion if you win this match?
One thing I do hope we get from Cena on SmackDown, because it's the last time we'll see him before his match in WrestleMania, is because Cody touched on it briefly last time they were face to face, but him finally giving an explanation why he sold out to The Rock would be nice.
For one time actually, I can't believe I'm saying this, first time ever, I don't something about Seth Rollins. I don't really trust him right now.
Yeah.
Well, don't forget, he's the slipperiest snake in that. But with
that's why I said first time ever saying it.
Oh, well, yeah. I think if you think we're getting an explanation from Cena on the Rock before like WrestleMania,
Mate, you're delusional.
I think so. All right. Well, appreciate everyone tuning in. What do we got? Any final points? Sorry.
One more thing. I want everybody to get everybody's thoughts on how they're going to put Hangman and Swerve together as a tag team.
Oh man,
because that's the speculation going into this.
They got a lot of work to do to get there.
Oh yeah, they do.
They got a lot of work. The Young Bucks have to do some dastardly shit over the next month, I agree. I think the Young Bucks have to be more evil than they've ever been on EW television to get Hangman and Swerve to want to work together.
I have a thought.
They need to do something where like they just keep like you know what they need to do? You know what they need to do with Swerve and Hangman? They need to go Hulk Thor from Avengers 1. When they're like fucking around and like, yeah, they're taking like other people out, but then every so often, like they just start like knocking on each other. Like, cause it's just like, it's literally in their nature. Like, I think that's how you play it.
Can't help it.
This is like a blood feud. I know that people got mad because they kind of blew the Hangman shot and didn't do a title change or make it like count, but that would be a good way to flesh it out a little bit more. That even though he just made that one decision, it's not like he just forgives like Swerve like clean slate. Like that would be silly for like these two people to go back like that. Like there should still be layers to this shit. Yeah.
I have a thought on how they're gonna do it, but I don't think they're gonna start it this week because Hangman's busy with his wild card tournament match. But I have a thought. But I'll save it for next week.
Wow.
Wait,
that's called a tease, ladies and gentlemen.
Who the fuck wrote this bullshit?
No, that's when you hit the trademark.
What a
roll the executive producer Jake Micah. Amazing. Hey, shout out our friend, your friend, my friend Jake Micah. Shout out the Prophet making his return after weeks to Wrestling with Emotion. Shout out the head of the table, Mike Partham, Slick Saturday, and myself. It's not the show where it's wrestling with your conscience. It's not the show where it's wrestling with your budget. It is Wrestling with Emotion. And we've got quite a show for you in store.